Hi, Manya. Okay, I tried to do this out in the goat barn, but the internet didn't reach all the way out there. So I'll see about tomorrow introducing you on this maybe to the baby who was born today. Um, so I was talking with Jessica after class, and we were saying something like that I was hoping in this class that at least for some of these issues we would be able to talk about answers and actually what do we do in practice? What does it look like to work with this kind of student or that kind of student? And as we get in further into the class each day, I'm realizing that's not the way it is and that there aren't answers for these questions, especially with the complexity of race and the role it plays in in schools and in society. And so, though there aren't answers, I think talking about it and being open and willing to talk about it is a start. Um, so there were a lot of things that we talked about today that really resonated with me. One, that our consciousness and I think our culture too are produced by our surroundings, and the idea that you can't act outside your position. Um, that I think Ivan brought up, and that the choices that other people make about our identities and the way they see us and perceive us often matter more than how we perceive our own identity. And that's difficult to grapple with. Um, I think especially, well, for anyone, but as teachers, thinking about how you perceive your role as a teacher versus how students perceive you, and just being aware of that. And that in my own, or one of my own worries for this year that's coming is, as we talked about so much, the sort of uh, superiority mentality that is not at all why I'm going to the school I'm going to, but I'm nervous that they will see me as that kind of Teach for America, I'm going to come in and fix everything, which obviously is not why I'm going. And so I want to make it clear for myself and for others that I'm going to become part of the community, and not as a, well, that I will be a cultural outsider, but to make my intentions clear and hope that other people recognize them. Though it really is tough, and I think it'll be a big challenge for me. I found our discussion about community-based learning and otherwise, I guess you could call it service projects, of coming in with that attitude, but being intentional about that both sides need to have something to offer. And I think that's how, I know that's how I see it in going into my job this coming year, and I hope I can figure out a way to make that the case, and to make my students see that that's where I'm coming from, and that that's where I hope that they will come from as well. I know there was a lot of other things I wanted to say about the film also. And we talked at the end a little bit about how noticing differences is human nature. And so, like you were talking about with your conversation with Terry, so we can't pretend that race doesn't exist and that it doesn't have the social impact that it does. But I think that searching for common ground is also human nature, that, as we talked about, you're always, from seeing differences, which is, biologically what we do, I think then we are also trying to find something in common. And so, again, that comes back to, I feel like I just say this every single time, but it's true, and it is the only kind of answer I've been able to come up with of just, and that we've talked about, that you have to see every kid and do your best to see where each kid is coming from, even though it will be, for me as a cultural outsider, for many of my students. And making it relevant for them and taking the time to figure out what are they interested in and how can I make this learning relevant for them. I think that's mostly what I wanted to say.